Social services and the arts sometimes have a common mission of healing that's being taken to a new level with a fellowship connecting artists of color with community agencies. The program was developed by a nonprofit, The Art Connection. To tell us about the effort are its executive director, Jeanne Dasaro, and from Bay Cove Human Services, clinical supervisor, Katie Hayward. Thank you very much for being with us. I'll start with Jeanne. Tell me a little bit about the history of the Art Connection and what's new here with this particular venture.
Great question. So the Art Connection is 24 years old. It was started by philanthropist and artist local to the South End, Faye Chandler. And over the course of those 24 years, we've worked to create permanent art exhibitions in various nonprofits, community centers, hospitals, treatment facilities, homeless shelters, all around the Boston metro area. And so there are now close to 8,000 pieces of artwork that are out in the world because of the work of the Art Connection. I'd say what's new here at the Art Connection is we have thought about what's the work that we have been doing, and then what is a new way that we could invigorate that work and also get organizations that we work with more actively involved in creating art. So we have a new artist fellowship where we pair an emerging artist of color with an agency, and then we go through a series of art making workshops as well as an art field trip.
Yeah. Katie, Bay Cove Human Services has been around a while as well. It's a nucleus behind a lot of residential programs. What kind of people do you serve?
So we serve a vast variety, and like one of the best things about this programming is we got to kind of like target a lot of those different areas, whether that was those living in some of our group living environments or also some individuals residing in the community. And we're serving a primarily low income population, similarly to Jeanne was saying, those of color too. And I think that one of the best parts about the mission is really like elevating those and realizing each individual's potential.
What's the most important thing here? Is it that you can look at the wall and see something that's relevant to your own situation, or is it beyond that? Is it maybe having a hand in creating what goes up on the wall?
I think both. I mean, art is, what could we say, objective. So maybe not everyone would like the mural that was created on the wall, but I do think having that sense of place, if in the facility where we were, many people come into that location daily, weekly, and so now they can visit and have this connection to that place because they participated in creating that piece of artwork that is on the wall.
Okay, what does that mean? Let's say you're a person in recovery. A sense of place. Why is that such a big deal?
Well, I think that that's something that like we all are striving for as human beings, right? We're finding a place that we feel like comforted and welcomed. And I think that what we also were trying to do here and like what was really able to happen is like having that like stake in it yourself. And like, I think to make something your home, you want to feel like that personal connection to it. And by allowing our individuals, like what colors are we picking? What kind of art forms do we want to be having in this space? And like, what do we want that to reflect and look like? Really gave it that sense of like home and purpose.
Now you're at close range here. Did you see any of this going on while it was still happening?
The art?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was like one of the best things is like we also like as staff we like got involved in too in terms of like getting big t-shirts on, like the smocks and everything, and I am no artist by any means, but like having that opportunity and also like the beautiful guidance that we had like from like clearly trained professionals, like it made it so much more like comforting, and it was also a great like therapeutic intervention that we could have with our individuals that we serve.
Jeanne, was that something you were thinking of from the get-go here?
It was. One of the things that we reflected on when we were thinking about our long history is when we were putting in permanent exhibitions, it was quite often like, here is this beautiful artwork, and then we might not engage with them for quite some time. And in this instance, we get to develop an ongoing relationship with the agency, with the constituents of the agency. And we were also thinking about how can we give people the opportunity to be part of the full cycle of artwork? So sometimes if you're not familiar with art, you don't know how an artist might design a piece of artwork, you don't know how that artwork is created, you don't know everything it took to get that painting up on the wall, say, or where that artwork goes afterwards. So we thought that would be a nice addition to our past programming.
This is BNN News. We're talking with Jeanne Dasaro from the Art Connection and Katie Hayward from Bay Cove Human Services. Jeanne, I want to come back to you because I know all struggling artists need commissions.
Yes.
But and I'm sure you're helping them with that. But what about the human contact that goes on? Does that enrich their work in some way, you think?
What we've heard, so Cicely Carew is our first artist fellow. So this was a pilot program with Cicely and with Bay Cove. And for her, what she says is often you're in the art world and you might not have the opportunity to be able to build a relationship with an agency or do big public works or do works with mission-aligned organizations. So for her, it was a new experience and one that she also really enjoyed just because the different types of people she got to work with to create art, work she's usually doing alone in her studio.
Yeah. Katie, did you talk to her at all while she was working on this?
Yeah, and I think that that's what we were saying earlier, is that it was such a community effort, like this whole project. I feel like in terms of like Cicely definitely was like leading it, and like she did a beautiful presentation in terms of like what kind of like her vision was of the piece, and really like listening to all of us and like what our viewpoints were in terms of like what we wanted our space to look like. And she like brought such like a warmth and light, like she was playing music like throughout the art and like really like just bringing that kind of like element of making everybody feel welcome, which makes a huge difference.
Right. Jeanne, I guess it means something when you're producing art. You're not just by yourself in the studio, but you're in maybe the same room with people and they're reacting to what you're doing. And I guess that helps you, isn't that important to developing as an artist?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think, especially in a project like this, where it is in a public space and everyone that walks through the halls of that facility are going to see it. So having the opportunity to kind of co-create and co-design it together. She came in with an initial design, and that initial design, like if we were to show you before and after, I think changed a lot because it was such a collaborative process.
Finally, Jeanne, if there are more artists out there who want to buy into this and get productive, what's the best way for them to follow up?
So you can reach us at theartconnection.org, and we have information about the next round of fellowships that's coming up in the new year.
And Katie, anything you might want to say about getting in touch with Bay Cove?
I think all of our information is up on our website, baycovehumanservices.org, and any questions can be followed up there.
Thank you both very much, Katie Hayward and Jeanne Dasaro.